Man Up, a program dedicated to inspiring and helping men live lives of heroic virtue. And now, it's time to Man Up.
Welcome to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. We are broadcasting on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network. I am Joe Stopulos, and today I have on John Bishop to discuss Forge, the organization that is pointed to help men and families grow in the Catholic faith. We've had on John before, and if you've listened to the episodes we've had, you know that this is the right guy to lead this charge. And the stuff they're doing at Forge is really incredible. So excited to have him on the other side of the break. Let us start in prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan, all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. You know, the more I get to know John Bishop, I've known him for a while, but now I'm seeing his work firsthand, and I tell you, he's basically what I would want to be if I was able to be this. If I were to create a Catholic guy to do this, right? So I've been doing men's ministry stuff here in Des Moines for 10 years or so, trying leading a couple men's conferences I helped put together, some Man Up stuff, obviously this radio show and some other things. And I joke, and that I'm a guy with a business degree, and I got a full-time job that is not in the church. But John, on the other hand, is a guy who is fully engaged in men's ministry, fully engaged in the church, fully engaged in all these things. He also has a PhD, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he has the resume to go with it. He's honestly the perfect guy for leading for leading this organization, for founding an organization that is equipping men with the tools they need to be the fathers and husbands that they're called to be. And, Forge, I've watched it from its, when it first was just an idea to now what it's formed into. And it's an incredible, how short of a time and he's built this incredible company, this incredible organization that's doing great work. The content they have is exceptional, and I'm excited to see what they continue to do. But that said, I teased it before last time I was with John that we need to do a full episode just talking about Forge, and so excited to have him on here the other side of the break to talk about Forge and the great work they're doing. Stick around. We're going to do a short break, and we'll be right back.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Skeffington's Formal Wear, in business since 1951, with locations in Des Moines, West Des Moines, Coralville, and Ankeny. Skeffington's Formal Wear, fitting you for life celebrations. Online at skeffingtons.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Fitness by Design, your neighborhood fitness studio, located in Des Moines, offering PH or fitness classes, private and semi-private training, Beamer, and massage. Learn more at fitnessbydesigndm.com, 515-770-3844.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production.
Got a question about the faith? Ask a priest. Email your question to contact@iowacatholicradio.com, then tune in to the Catholic Morning Show Thursdays at 7:15 to hear the answer. Ask a priest. Thursdays only on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network.
My help comes from you.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. Excited to have on a reoccurring guest at this point, Mr. John Bishop. John, welcome to the show.
Absolutely great to be here again. Joe, thanks for having me.
John, last time you were on, you helped kick off our Heroic Fatherhood series, which was quite a success, I would say. Had a lot of great guests on there. And, we kind of teased this out during that conversation, which is to say that you have founded an organization that is equipped to help men be the fathers they're called to be, husbands are called to be. And it's called Forge. And I said, when we're doing it, well, this is great. We're talking about fatherhood, but we're going to have you on again to talk about everything that's going on at Forge, and that is what we're going to do today. So let's do just that. Let's start. Why is Forge in existence? Why did you have to create this organization? Aren't there other organizations out there doing things like this, John?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Forge is in existence because I think perhaps the best way to heal the family is to go after men, to go after husbands and fathers. I like to say that Forge is in the battle for the family, and we're healing the family from the father out. So Forge right now is just a men's organization. That is what we do. We work exclusively with men. Okay. In the coming years, we'll actually work with women too. We'll probably always work with men and women separately, but fundamentally, we're an organization that fights for the family. Okay. We just happen to think that placing a strategic emphasis on men, that is emphasizing sort of the male element of the domestic church, is the best way, the most strategic way, the most leveraged way to go after the family. All right. The reason Forge came into existence more personally is because, my wife and I felt like we had a call from God. I had been working for Focus, an organization that many listeners are probably familiar with, a collegiate outreach organization. I'd worked for them for the better part of a decade. But there was a fateful conversation with my wife where we felt like we were called to lean in more deeply into the fight for the family, that being kind of the fundamental battlefield of our times, I think. And we knew that if we were going to jump into the fight for the family, that we had to go after men first. And so that's why we founded Forge. We moved back to Des Moines it's already been about a year and a half now that we came back to town, and it's great to be here.
So you were, let's get your background a little bit here. You're born and raised in Des Moines, part of the Bishop family. We talked about your father on that episode. You then went to college where?
Went to college at Benedictine.
Yep.
I did a master's at Baylor University and my doctoral work at Catholic University of America in theology. I wrote my doctoral dissertation on the crisis of men and masculinity in the church and culture and where to go from there.
And that is why you are the person that needs to be running this fight. And I appreciate that because I don't have any of those things. I have a business degree from Marquette University. I'm not quite as well equipped as you are to lead this fight. And so that's why I'm just like I had the Lyceum guys on recently talking about what wonderful work they're doing. Forge is like that on a different level because it's specifically Catholic and specifically male. And my hope of this conversation is to help people who are listening to understand, whether they're in Des Moines or elsewhere, but especially for those in Des Moines, to understand what a gift this is. Because, John, you took all that education, and most of my knowledge of what's going on at Focus are the missionaries themselves, the people who are on the front lines in at the various colleges around the country. But you were actually in a different role there. Talk about real quick what you were doing at Focus.
Yeah, so I did work as a missionary for several years at the University of Maryland. But then for the final 6 years that I was working for Focus, I actually worked at Focus's headquarters in Denver. There, I wore a lot of different hats. So I wrote a lot of Focus's Bible studies that you can still find on their website, the curriculum that they use to train missionaries. I had a big role in the formation of missionaries through something called Focus's New Staff Training. I was involved with Focus's Seat Conference, oversaw the retreat program, a lot of different things at Focus's headquarters. By the time I was done there, I had 4 different small departments that were reporting to me, and just kind of a jack of all trades, I guess you could say.
But you were creating content, which I think to me is one of the biggest things of what you plays into the role that you have today, right? So you actually were creating content for Focus, for the missionaries who need it. And you also, in the leadership position, you were with Curtis Martin. You were with one of the leaders in the church, quite honestly, in the laity of the church. He's one of those people, kind of like a Matthew Kelly, who has his thumb on all things Catholic, has grown an organization that's making enormous dividends for the Catholic Church. My point of that is you've got this really great background through your time at Focus, which has launched you into Forge. And so Forge, we first talked about it, was kind of an idea. I think we had you on talk maybe a high level of maybe what this was going to be. Give us an idea of where you've come in the last year and a half of doing this and where we're going.
Yeah, so Forge officially launched about 8 months ago now. You're right. It's kind of gone from the Word document idea stage and launched and now has grown. I'm actually really excited. I was just recently asked, selected as a finalist for something called Sent Ventures, where Forge has been selected as one of the top 3 emerging nonprofits in the United States by a company called Sent Ventures, and I'll be presenting in early September in Dallas at an event. It's hot off the press as of this morning. So
that's awesome. That's John Cannon's thing, right?
That's John Cannon's thing. Yeah,
Cool.
I was on a call with him just yesterday.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. So where is Forge now? So I'm really grateful to all of the people, donors, volunteers, or just men in small groups who leaned in when we first got Forge started last November. It's been a real honor. We've had 31 small groups of men that we've been able to either found or small groups that we've sort of revived and who are using forged materials. And I know that that number is climbing every week. We've hosted a lot of events in Des Moines. We have people nationally now who are using forged materials. So starting in September, actually, we can honestly claim that we have not just a small group, but communities of men who are engaging forged materials in 10 other metropolitan areas in the country as well. Large communities of men, not just one small group, but multiple small groups in those cities. So it seems like word is getting out a little bit. We've been able to link up with some major distribution partners, including, in case people know these groups, Heroic Men, Communio, Couple to Couple League, and many more. Always grateful for the support that we've received from the Knights of Columbus. That's been huge. But we're ramping up for the fall here. So we took a break in the month of July on our events. We have another event coming up on August 22nd. Really excited for that. We have a comedian, musician, and marriage therapist named Paul J. Kim, who's just coming to talk about the things that can hold men back in marriage and family, and where to go. We have 2 parish missions coming up in the fall, one at St. Francis and one at Christ
when you say
King.
we, who as you're basically delivering it as the Forge guy to these different parishes?
Actually, no. So yeah, that's a good question, Joe. So we have a Dominican priest. His name is Father James Brent, who's an accomplished author, public speaker. Look him up on YouTube and you'll find, hundreds of thousands of views of this guy. Incredible man who has a parish mission that is very similar to Forge's vision. That's basically on healing fatherhood, healing families from the father out, healing your relationship with God the Father. And those retreats are called the Father's House retreats. You can look up dates on our website for the St. Francis and Christ the King parish missions, but we'll be at Christ the King September 13 through 15, and then we'll be at St. Francis October 24 through 26. If you miss those dates, then just go to our website, look at our events page. Excited to be there. And then this is actually kind of fun. This is the first official announcement. It's not even on the website yet, so it's kind of fun to do this here. But looking far ahead, on March 15th, Forge will be hosting its first conference, and we're really excited for that conference. We've got some great speakers coming, and Minnesota Vikings former player Matt Burke will be speaking at the conference. New York Times, 5 times New York Times bestselling author Dr. Leonard Sachs will be coming to speak on fatherhood in the modern age. Pete Burak of Renewal Ministries will be emceeing the conference, and one other to be determined keynote speaker. So we're looking forward to that as well. Conference will be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. We're going to host it at the Convention Center downtown, and looking forward to seeing men there.
Which is the Convention Center? Sorry, I'm doing
Community choice. Community choice.
Got it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, good.
Sometimes I still call it Vets Auditorium.
If you would have said Vets, I would have known what you're talking about at least.
Yeah.
All right, so that date again was March 15th?
March 15th.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Every guy listening, mark your calendar right now. That is very important to be at. The content you just mentioned is going to be spectacular. Then B, as we're trying to grow this community, of men, this is what we need. We need people to be there. We need people to spread the word. So I'm excited to be a part of the forefront of this. March 15th, all morning long, as I've mentioned multiple times. If you can only make it for one of those speakers, or you can only make it for an hour or two, it's still worth your time to sign up and go. So that's kind of, we'll bookend it. That'll be the last thing we're going to talk about is you get this men's conference coming up. But in the meantime, there's a lot of other stuff you kind of brushed over pretty quickly that I want to dive a little deeper into. So in my mind, you kind of have this events portion of it and this programming piece of it, right? So there's kind of, and maybe there's another
that's right.
I'm missing. But, obviously for our listeners who are outside of the Des Moines area, the events piece is less important to them. We'll get to the programming next. Let's first talk for people who are in this area, events, right? So we have these ongoing events, and I've gone to many of them. And guys, we are blessed to have John here in town to put on these events because they're awesome. We've had Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. We had a guy who was literally in pornography. He was an actor who came and talked to us. He was basically saved. By the way, his wife, which I did not know going into this, was from Iowa, and they met, and she converted him and saved him. Incredible talks that are happening with regularity. John, talk to us about how often we can expect these things, and maybe a sales pitch for why someone should join.
Yeah, so the talks, we are passionate in Forge about providing world-class content, and that applies to both our online courses that people can find and also the events that we do. So all of the speakers that we've brought in thus far, we invest a lot in those speakers. We want to bring people to Des Moines that people wouldn't otherwise be able to encounter, right? So we have one coming up here August 22nd. And for those who are listening today, this event on August 22nd, it's hosted at Exile Brewing Company. I can't think of a lower barrier to entry place, say for somebody who maybe hasn't gone to church in a while. So if you want to come and bring a buddy who maybe you went to high school with, who maybe isn't practicing his faith anymore, this is the one to come to. The speaker is hilarious. The venue is perfect. You're basically just bringing him to a bar. We do these events in part because they're good in themselves, right? Because we want to form guys at the events themselves. But we want to use these events for men to kind of springboard into small groups. Among the things that Forge is really passionate about, small groups is right there at the top. So we're convicted that fathers are better fathers when they don't father alone. Okay. And so if you have men that you can be transparent with, that can support you, that's a great way, to become a better father. I currently lead 3 Forge small groups in Des Moines. Met with 2 of them already this week. And I've been able to kind of watch these groups form, in the last 7-8 months. And seeing the needle really move in people's lives right in front of my eyes is worthwhile. And I think that no matter where a man is at in his faith, if he's willing to jump into a small group, he'll be a better man. Now, going forward, these big events with speakers, we'll be doing those events quarterly. Okay, so we started out doing them every month. We're taking a little bit more varied approach here. Where we'll have a quarterly large event, with the speaker at a big venue, going forward about once a quarter. But we will host other events. Okay, those events are parish missions. We'll also host some smaller events of people who are maybe speaking on a more niche topic. But those quarterly events, which we're just going to call Forge Summits going forward, again, those will happen once a quarter. They're events that are designed to be the sort of thing that anybody can attend. Low barrier to entry, bring your friends. Doesn't matter if they haven't been to church in years. And the next one, like I said, will be on August 22nd. Really encourage people to attend that event. We'll be announcing all of our events through the end of March at that August 22nd event.
Well, yeah, again, the events, in my experience, they're like keynote speakers that you would find at a men's conference or at even like a Christ Our Life, but they're showing up on a Thursday night in Des Moines. And so, again, this is just part of that Catholic community here in Des Moines that John he's got the flag and he's running. So we need to get behind him and follow him on these things because it's awesome. Now let's start with the programming. So one part of it's events, and now we kind of have this forming of men through the programming, through the actual content. Talk to us about that side of it.
Yeah. So we put a lot of effort, a lot of time, frankly, a lot of money into making world-class formative content. All right. So we have one course out right now, and actually, as chance would have it, we have 2 more courses coming out that will be out by the August 22nd event. I'll talk to you about all 3 of them really briefly. So these courses, they're 6 module courses. Each module, so each part of the course, 6 parts, has both a video and a written component. Okay, the video is a 20 to 25 minute video laying out a particular topic that pertains to fatherhood. Okay, and then the written component basically lays out the video in more detail and provides the discussion guide. What we want to do in these courses is to provide deep formation for men to some of the most difficult problems of our age. Okay, so the first course that we put out, fundamentally answered the question, how do I raise a sexually healthy son in the midst of a sexually toxic culture? We were blessed to interface with a team of 25 psychologists around the country who contributed to the development of this series. I'd take the content that we put together against any other similar content on planet Earth. I'm hopelessly biased, but I think it's very well done. And what is certainly the case is it's very well pedigreed. We also have been very blessed, mostly by donors here in Des Moines, where we are able to produce these things at an exceptionally high level of production quality. Okay, so you'll see them and they look sharp. Okay.
I mean, so I'm going to butt in here real quick. When you started this, obviously I was kind of on the forefront of you talking about this idea of doing Forge and whatnot. And you said we're going to do this content thing. I'm like, okay. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad content out there that's been done on a bootstrap budget. I'm like, you started this thing with nothing. The content is unbelievable. I mean, it's reminiscent of like Word on Fire level quality things that Bishop Barron would be a part of. And it's the video, it's the actual content itself, it's the audio. It looks good. It sounds good. I mean, it's really good. And it was surprising knowing where you guys came from. Like, it was just a small little thing, and you do such a good job with it. So anyway, I'm going to pause it there and just
appreciate that.
It truly is world class. It really is.
I'll pay you later. Thanks for saying that. Yeah. The other two courses, I don't know if I could possibly be more excited about them. So we're releasing 2 courses in a few weeks here. Those courses answer a different question. And the question is, if I'm a dad, how do I pass my faith on to my kids? Okay, so obviously, study after study shows that one of the biggest indicators of whether or not a child will be faithful as an adult is indeed that child's father. Fathers have a particularly loud voice when it comes to the transmission of the faith across generations. So one of the things that we do in Forge, wanting to highlight the goodness of masculinity, again, heal the family from the father out, is we want to empower men to use that voice, right? So what we're doing is we're releasing 2 series. One of the series is called Home Church. It's a play on the domestic church. The other series is called Patriarchs. The Patriarchs course answers the question, but there's an explicit focus on grandfathers. So if you're a grandfather, it answers the question, how can I, as a grandfather, increase my odds of transmitting the faith to future generations? Okay. The Home Church course is a church for fathers who currently have kids in the home. And it's, hey, what do I do? Statistically speaking, if I want to increase the likelihood that the kids under my roof now will be faithful Catholics as adults. And once again, I mean, we were blessed beyond belief in the people who collaborated with us in these courses. We had 4 New York Times bestselling authors actively reviewing the content as we were cranking it out. Dozens of experienced fathers, psychologists, sociologists, just a wonderful, wonderful group of world-class people. You know, to give you an idea, Brad Wilcox, who's the current director of the National Marriage Initiative, who's the chair of sociology at the University of Virginia, and just recently, 3 months ago, released a New York Times bestselling book called Get Married, pretty meticulously reviewed all of the content that we put out because he's passionate about this topic, as are many others. And I could give you other names on par with him that actively played a role, not only in interviewing for the series, but also in reviewing the content that we're putting out.
Well, John, we're out of time. And I think we could probably do another full episode of this. What we're going to do is just have you on probably 6 months, a year from now, and just keep this coming because the content's not going to stop. The website is
www.myforge.org. That's myforge.org.
Awesome. Hey, John, thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for the work that you're doing with Forge. Again, I try to help people understand this is a unique thing for Des Moines, Iowa. It's unique in the Catholic world more broadly, right? Not just for Des Moines, but Catholic world more broadly. What you're doing is exceptional. So thanks for your hard work, and everyone go to the website, check it out. We're going to head to a short break, and we will be right back.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from independent realtor Chris Foster. Chris has served clients with everything real estate throughout Iowa since 2019. 641-891-8178 or online at the 4saleia.com.
Fast Signs is a custom sign and visual solutions company with an extensive selection of digital signage, interior and exterior signs, banners, and vehicle wraps. Learn more at fastsigns.com. Thank you, Fast Signs in Clive, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Thank you to our business partner, Big Red Q Quick Print. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. BigRedQ-Des Moines.com. BigRedQ-Des
From St. Charles to Pleasant Hill and everywhere at iowacatholicradio.com or the Iowa Catholic Radio app. Listener-supported Iowa Catholic Radio, connecting listeners to Christ.
My help comes from you. You're right here.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. My thanks to John Bishop. Hopefully you get a sense there of what we're talking about. John is the real deal. Forge is the real deal. You know, I've been around, again, men's ministry for probably a decade or, oh gosh, more than a decade now. I've been following it for at least, 12, 14 years. And this is special. This is unique. This is special to have this, especially in Des Moines, Iowa, but not just in Des Moines, across the country. If you're in a men's group today and you need content, you're stalled out, you don't have something to talk about, or you're in between Bible studies or something like that, his content is phenomenal. And that's just, there's no other way to put it. The people he has, the minds he has, the professionalism of which it's created is top notch. And so I strongly encourage you, if you're in a men's group at all, or you're thinking of forming a men's group, this is a wonderful tool that is available to you to be able to grow deeper with yourself and God, with you and your spouse, and with you and your men's group. Okay, all those things. So myforge.org. It's a great organization. Separately, John doesn't know I'm going to say this, but if you can support them, so you can support them in two ways. You can support them monetarily. I know myself and others who do that because we know the investment. Just like how supporting Word on Fire. Yeah, they sell things, but also just giving them money is a great way to get the great work they're doing out. Same thing with Forge, or you can support them through the content too. It is something that if you like something and you see that it has the opportunity to bear good fruit, we should support these organizations, and Forge would be one of those. So go to myforge.org. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. I am Joe Stopulos. It's time to man up.
Man Up, inspiring men to live out their call to holiness.